So today's topic, we want to talk about Alabama's IVF ruling. That's what everybody's been talking about, making all the national headlines as well.
Well, it's a big ruling because there's a lot of families in Alabama who have had children through the in vitro fertilization process, including my own. So it's personal to me as well. But one of the things that the court said, and this is a far-reaching opinion, but one of the things that the court said is they took a statute we already had in place, called the wrongful death of a minor statute, and they applied eggs that have been fertilized outside of the uterus to that statute, meaning that for purposes of determining whether you are a child or not, it doesn't matter whether your egg has already been fertilized in the uterus or in the uterus or outside of the uterus. And so what that means is that if a medical practitioner allows a fertilized egg to die, then now, for purposes of that statute, they are considered a child and you can file for wrongful death actions as long as it is within 6 months of that death. So that's important, but what you're looking at is just civil damages. So it's important to draw a distinction. There's no criminal liability at this point for that situation. It is just when you're asking for money damages from a medical practitioner, or from maybe a product fails, maybe the cryogenic freezer, which is the way they keep these eggs frozen, maybe that fails, and maybe now you have a product liability action under this wrongful death statute, and you got 6 months to file it. So you know, it's pretty important from a timeline perspective.
Now, would that be 6 months from the time you learned that the embryos had died, or 6 months from the time they actually died? If there was a gap in the time that it happened and it was discovered.
You know, that's an excellent question, and that's the discovery rule under Alabama law. If you don't discover it, then you have 6 months to file the action, and that's not tested under this law right now. This is plowing new ground. We're all plowing new roads here. So trying to figure out how some of those other statutes interact now with the court's ruling is going to be difficult, and it's going to have to be litigated going forward. The important thing to remember now is that what the court did is they put it into our legislature's lap to deal with. There was the defendants in this case, various medical practitioners and the actual clinic tried to argue, hey, look at all the public policy issues that you're going to do. You're going to stop people from having IVF. Clinics are going to shut down. How about life insurance now for fertilized embryos? How are these implications going to move forward? And so what will end up happening is this will be a road that is driven as we move forward. But right now, the court said, look, we're just looking at the statute the legislature passed. Y'all figure it out, legislature.
Now, this is something that we could talk about for like the next hour, but I do want to go ahead, and we do have a caller on the line. So good morning to you.
Good morning.
Go ahead with your question.
I moved here and rented a house, and I had to leave the house because of issues, and I hired a moving company to move me, and they destroyed several of my things and damaged other things.
Sure.
And I called the Attorney General's office and asked for their assistance under crime against senior citizens, and I was denied help.
Okay.
So I was wondering, how long is the statute of limitations to file a lawsuit? Because they've done this to people every single day.
Okay, so let's unparse this. So you got a statute of limitations if you reached a contract agreement with this particular company to move your stuff, and they breached the contract in breaking it, then you could have a 6-year statute of limitations. But if they were negligent in breaking your stuff, you would also have a 2-year statute of limitations. So you've got two potential different time limits there. One is a breach of contract, that's 6 years from the date of the breach, and 2, negligent conduct, that's 2 years from the date that they were negligent in messing your stuff up. So all that said, the sooner the better you get and talk to a lawyer, which is who you would need to talk to, about potentially filing a lawsuit, maybe in district court, but topic of conversation with an attorney. But you do have a recourse for breach of contract, maybe negligence as well.
And what about, because I went through this when I moved back to Huntsville, when those contracts actually spell out a time frame in which you have to report it to the company. Does that affect any of this as well?
It sure does, and that's in a lot of life insurance contracts too. You have a duty when you have contracted away the statute of limitations under Alabama law, you can do that. It will shorten your time limit. So be very careful when you're reading those contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Triple check it.
Triple check. Always read it.
Well, Heath, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Always appreciate you when you come here.
Thank you.